welcome to Yoga Life with Amy. My name is Amy, and I'm so excited to have you here today. In this beginner class, we are going to need two blocks at the top of your mat and a strap. And so in order for this strap to be correct, if it is a long strap, mine is 10 foot long. If yours is 8 foot long, you can place this in half. So take the two loops with the two rings, take the end, send it through the two loops, up and back through, and double that up. If you have a 6 foot length or shorter, you might not want to double this up for later on when we will need the strap. So we will place this off to the side or off to the front up here for our later use. And we'll have our two blocks at the top of the mat. So let's begin. We're going to meet down on the ground, on our backs, however is comfortable for you. So once you are in your comfortable position on the floor, whether that's with the legs straight or the knees bent, take a nice big deep breath in, and on the exhale, slowly release. And take a few more deep breaths in. Maybe even scanning your body and seeing how you're doing today. Maybe you have a few cranky spots. Maybe you have a few happy spots. Just noticing how the body is feeling. Take one more big deep breath in, and on the exhale, slowly release. Bringing the breath back to normal. And walk the feet out as wide as the mat. And windshield wiper the legs, so that means send both knees to one side and then to the other. Warming up the hips and the legs and the lower spine as we're windshield wipering the legs here. And the next time both knees go to the right, allow them to stay there. Maybe even lifting that right foot and placing on the outside of that left thigh. Adding a little bit of extra pressure. If it's too much for you, please remove that foot. Listening to and honoring our body here. On that next breath, releasing that foot, placing it back on the outer edge of the mat and windshield wipering the legs here. And next time both knees go to the left, allowing them to stay there. Maybe even lifting that left foot, placing it on the outside of that right thigh. And breathing here. Maybe notice where you're feeling this at in the body. How it's feeling. Again, if it's too much pressure, feel free to remove the foot and place it back down on the mat. That next breath, releasing that foot and windshield wipering the legs. Bringing that to stillness and bringing those legs to a comfortable position. Lifting those arms up to the ceiling, sending the fingertips to the ceiling, palms facing each other, shoulder width apart. Noticing how the shoulder blades are down on the mat. Inhale here, and on that exhale, lift those fingertips up to the ceiling and feeling those shoulder blades coming up off the mat. Inhale those arms back down, feeling the shoulder blades coming back down to the mat. And on that exhale, coming all the way back up to the ceiling. Continuing with your breath, inhaling down and exhaling up. Keeping those palms shoulder width apart the entire time. And then next time those shoulders come down onto the mat, bring that right hand to that left elbow and left hand to that right elbow, making a box over the heart. This is our inhale and our neutral position. So inhaling here, and on that exhale, send those elbows to the right, keeping the nose up to the ceiling. Inhaling back up through center and exhaling elbows to the left. Continuing with your breath, inhaling through center and exhaling either to the right or to the left. And once you've done even sides, bringing those arms back in through center. Again, this is going to be our neutral inhale position. So inhaling here, and on that exhale, send those elbows to the right and send the nose to the left. Inhaling everything back through center, and exhale, elbows to the left, nose to the right. Inhaling back through center and continuing with your breath. Warming up the upper and the spine and the neck. And once you've done even sides, bringing that back in through center and allowing the arms to come down along your side. Taking a few breaths here and just noticing how the back side of the body is feeling. And coming to a seated position, however feels comfortable for you to get there. And coming to your comfortable seated position, rounding down through those sit bones and lengthening through that spine, relaxing those shoulders. Inhale, lift those arms up, and exhale, bring them back down. Inhale up, exhale down. Inhale up, and on this next exhale, allow that right hand to come down along the side, lengthening through that left arm and crossing that midline. Inhaling back through center and exhale, left hand down to the side, lengthening through that right arm and crossing the midline. Inhale back through center and exhale to the right, rounding down through that left hip and keeping that left arm straight. Inhale back through center, exhale to the left, lengthening through that right arm and grounding down through that right hip. Inhale back through center. Exhale, bring those hands down to heart center. Maybe do some circles here with those wrists, warming them up. Bring that to a pause and take the circles the opposite direction. bringing that to stillness and shaking it all out. Bring the arms out to a nice big T out to the sides. Inhaling here, and on that exhale, bringing those arms in. On that inhale, bringing those arms out to a big T. On that exhale, bring those arms in and give yourself a nice big hug, noticing which arm is on top. Inhale, lift those elbows up and out away from the body and breathe here. Warming up that upper body. On that next breath, opening that back up to a T. Exhale, bring that opposite arm on top and hug yourself here. Inhaling, lifting those elbows and pulling those elbows away from the body and breathing here. On that next breath, opening that back up and shaking that out. Coming to your tabletop, however is comfortable for you. So having those wrists underneath those shoulders, knees underneath those hips. Inhale, lift that tailbone, opening up that heart and looking forward. Exhale, rounding that back, tucking that tailbone under and looking down toward your toes. Continuing with your breath, inhaling through cow and exhaling through cat. After that next cat, bringing that spine back in through center. Send that right foot straight back with those toes tucked under on the mat, pressing through that heel, warming up the back of that leg. Activate those nice strong ab muscles and lift that leg, maybe lifting that opposite arm. Breathing here. On that next breath, set that hand back down, set those toes down onto the mat, keeping that leg straight, cross the midline, and look over those left shoulders toward those right toes. Inhaling back through center, keeping that leg straight. Kickstand that left foot out to the side. Bring those right heels onto the ground. Press into that left hand and lift that right arm, coming up into that side plank. You can stay here, or maybe you challenge yourself by lifting that straight leg. Whatever feels best for you in your body today. On that next breath, coming back in through center, both knees underneath those hips and wrists underneath those shoulders. Send that left foot straight back, pressing through that back heel, warming up the back of that leg. Using nice strong abs and lift that leg up, maybe lifting that opposite arm. Allowing that hand to come down onto the mat. Bring those toes back onto the mat with a straight leg. Cross that midline and look over that right shoulder toward those left toes. Inhaling, bringing that back in through center. Kickstand that right foot out to the side. Bring those left heels onto the mat. Press into that right hand and lift that left arm all the way up. Again, challenging yourself here in that side plank, however feels right for you today. On that next breath, coming back in through center, setting that hand down and bringing both knees underneath the hips. Coming up onto those shins. Allow that right foot to come straight in front of you. Walk those toes slightly forward and shift those hips forward, allowing that knee to come over that ankle. Maybe you would want your blocks here to bring the mat up to you. Lengthening through that spine. On that next breath, we're going to straighten that front leg, shifting those hips back, but not to that heel, just shifting the hips back to straighten that leg. And keeping those hands forward. Bending that knee and bringing those hips back forward. Walk that right hand to the inside of that leg and walk that right foot out to the side so the leg is straight and the foot is flat on the mat. You can keep your hands on the blocks or you can bring them down onto the mat. Inhale here, and on that exhale, send those hips back to that back heel. And breathe here. Inhale, coming back in through center. Bring that right knee underneath that hip. Coming back up onto those shins. And bring that left foot forward. Walk those toes slightly forward. Shift those hips forward so that knee is over that ankle. Again, you can use those blocks for the hands to bring the mat up to you. Lengthening through that spine. On that next breath, shifting those hips back and straightening that front leg, keeping the arms forward and the hips up and away from that back heel. On that next breath, bring that knee back forward. Again, bring that left hand to the inside of that leg. Walk that left foot out to the side so the foot is flat and the leg is straight. Maybe you set the blocks off to the side and bring the hands onto the mat. Inhale here, and on that exhale, send those hips to that back heel. And breathe here. On that next breath, bring those hips back up. Bring that left knee back underneath that hip. And maybe shake this out however feels right for you. Maybe that's shifting the hips and looking back toward those toes. Bringing that to stillness and coming back up onto those shins. Step forward with one foot, whichever one feels comfortable for you. Maybe keeping those hands on the legs or maybe on the hips. Tuck those back toes under. Lift that back knee and step forward, coming up into your Tadasana. Now that we are in our good Tadasana, mountain pose. Inhale, lift those arms all the way up. Exhale, forward fold, bringing that attention to those balls of the feet. Inhale. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale all the way up. And exhale, hands down to heart center. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale all the way up. And exhale, hands down to heart center. One more time. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, lengthening through that spine. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale all the way up. And exhale, hands down to heart center. Shifting that weight into that right foot, coming up onto those left toes, and send those left feet back to warrior two. So that means that back foot is parallel with that back edge of the mat. Front knee is bent over that ankle. Right arm is reaching forward and left arm is reaching back, looking over those right fingers. Flip that right wrist. Reach forward slightly and exhale. Allow that back hand to come down to the back leg, lengthening that right arm all the way up to the ceiling. Inhale, back to your warrior two. Exhale, reach forward, maybe bending that elbow, placing that forearm on that thigh. Lifting that left arm all the way up. Maybe that right arm comes straight down, keeping both shoulders nice and open. Inhale, back to your warrior two. Take a nice big step and come back up into your mountain pose. Shifting that weight into that left foot, come up onto those right toes and send that right foot back to warrior two. So now that right foot is parallel with that back edge of the mat. Left arm is reaching forward and right arm is reaching back. Flip that left wrist. Slightly reach forward and exhale. Bring that right hand to that right leg and left arm up to the ceiling. Inhale, back to warrior two. Slightly reach forward, bend that elbow, place that forearm on that thigh. Right arm up to the ceiling. Maybe that left arm straightens, keeping both shoulders nice and open to the side. Inhale all the way back up. Looking back over those left fingers. Take a nice big step forward and come back up into your Tadasana. Shifting that weight into that right foot, coming up onto those left toes and sending that left foot back to warrior one. That means those left toes are facing that front left corner and the heel is toward that back right corner. Front knee is bent, arms up by the ears. Hips are toward the front of the mat. Exhale, bring those hands behind the back. Maybe they're at a triangle at your sacrum and hugging the spine with your shoulder blades. Or maybe you interlace those fingers and press all the way down. Everyone gazing between those eyebrows if you can. On that next breath, forward fold, bringing that shoulder down to that knee. Maybe you even lift those arms up off the back if that's within your practice today. Inhale all the way back up. Release those arms and shake it out. Straighten both the legs. Inhale, lift those arms all the way up. And exhale, forward fold. Maybe you use those blocks to bring the ground up to you. Everybody bringing your hands onto those blocks. Bend that front knee so it's over that ankle. Shift that weight into that front foot. As you straighten that front leg, allow the back leg to come up and come into your warrior three. Maybe you practice bringing one hand into center, maybe then the other. On that next breath, bring that back foot up to meet that front foot. Inhale all the way up and exhale, hands down to heart center. Shifting that weight into that left foot, coming up onto those right toes. Send that right foot back to warrior one. Now those right toes are toward that front right corner, heel is toward the back left. Front knee is bent and arms are up by the ears. Exhale, bring those hands behind the back. Maybe they're at a triangle at your sacrum, hugging the spine with your shoulder blades. Or maybe you interlace those fingers and press all the way down. Gaze between the eyebrows if that feels right for you today. On that next breath, forward fold, sending that shoulder down to that knee. Making sure the heart is down toward the ground. Maybe you even lift those arms up off the back. Inhale all the way up, releasing those arms and shaking that out. Inhale, lift those arms all the way up, straighten that front leg so both legs are now straight. Exhale, forward fold, coming down into that pyramid. Both hips are in through center. Maybe you bring those blocks next to you and use those to bring the ground up to you. Bend that front knee, bringing those hands slightly out in front. Everybody bring those hands onto those blocks. Press that weight into that front leg, and as you straighten that front leg, lift that back leg all the way up, pressing through that back heel. On that next breath, bring that back foot up to meet that front foot. Inhale all the way up, and exhale, hands down to heart center. And shake that all out. Shifting that weight into that right foot, coming up onto those left toes. Send that left foot back to crescent. So now all 10 toes are facing forward. Back heel is up, front knee is bent, arms up by the ears. Bring that right hand down to that right hip, lengthen through that spine, and cross that midline. Inhale back through center. Exhale, send that left arm forward and that right arm back, opening up to that bent knee. Inhale back through center. Take a nice big step forward and exhale, hands down to heart center. Shift that weight into that left foot, coming up onto those right toes, and send that right foot back to crescent. Back heel is up, front knee is bent, arms up by the ears. Bring that left hand down along this hip, lengthen through that right arm and cross that midline. Inhale back through center. Exhale, send that right arm forward and left arm back, opening up to that bent knee. Inhale back through center. Take a nice big step forward and bring those hands down to heart center. Shake that all out. Bring those hands to heart center and shift that weight into that right foot. Send that left foot back. And we're going to open up both feet to that long edge of the mat. Bring those hands to the hips. So those feet, we're grounding down into the big toes, baby toes, and heels. Pulling the mat apart with those feet. Activating those legs. Zipping up those nice strong abs. Inhaling here, and on that exhale, allow those hands to come down along the sides. down onto the floor or bringing your blocks in front of you and bringing your hands onto those blocks, keeping those hips in line with the legs. Inhaling here, and on that exhale, walk those hands to that right foot. Again, maybe you use those blocks, maybe you don't. Inhale back through center. Exhale to the left. If your hands are not flat on the mat, I suggest using the blocks. It will help be able to bring the ground up to you. Inhale back through center. Bend that right knee and walk those hands to that right foot. Inhale back through center, straightening that right leg. Exhale, bend that left leg and walk those hands to the left. Inhale back through center, straightening that left leg. Keeping the torso where it's at, bring those hands onto those hips and strongly lift yourself all the way back up. Point that front toe toward the front of the mat and bring that back foot all the way up to meet that front foot. Coming into our good mountain pose. Inhale, lift those arms all the way up and exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Bend those knees generously. Place those hands on the mat and walk those feet back behind you so that your knees are now on the mat. Pause. Blocks back to the top of your mat. Making sure that you are in the middle to the back of your mat. Walk those hands one full hand length forward. Shift those shoulders over those wrists, coming into that low plank and activating those abs. Making sure that you are one straight line from your knees all the way to your shoulders. Keeping those abs nice and activated. Keeping those elbows nice and close to the body. And on that exhale, slowly lower yourself all the way down to the ground. Keeping those shoulders over those wrists. Forehead on the mat. Keeping those legs and glutes nice and relaxed. Inhale and press through those hands, lifting those shoulders and that neck and the upper body, coming into that baby cobra. Exhale back down. Inhale up, gazing at the top of your mat. Exhale back down. Inhale up. This time we're going to stay here. Maybe you stay right here. Maybe you hug those shoulder blades along that spine and hover those hands over the mat. Maybe you press your hands through the mat, straightening those arms and coming all the way up. Listening to and honoring what the low back is saying today. Exhale, come all the way back down. Stacking those forearms and placing the forehead over the forearms. Bend those knees so the bottoms of the feet are toward the ceiling and windshield wiper the legs. Bringing that to stillness, bring those feet back down onto the mat. Bring the hands back under the shoulders. Tuck those toes under. Pressing through those toes, those knees, and those hands, and strongly press yourself up to tabletop, shifting those hips back and coming into your child's pose. Maybe you bring those knees out as wide as the mat with the big toes touching and the forehead on the mat. Inhale, coming back into that tabletop. Swing those feet off to the side. Bringing those glutes down onto the ground and bringing those feet all the way to the top of that mat. At this time, grab that strap and bring it off to your side so that you can grab it when we lay down. Rounding down through those sit bones, zipping up those legs nice and tight. Inhale, lift those arms all the way up, and exhale, forward fold. Allowing those hands to land wherever they do. Inhale, coming back up. Shaking those shoulders back. Bend those knees so the feet are flat on the mat. Bring those hands behind you. Walk those feet out as wide as the mat. And windshield wiper those legs. Once both knees go to the right, allow them to stay there. Walk forward. Inhale, lengthening here, and on that exhale, bring that right hand to that right knee, left hand to that right foot. Lengthening here, and on that exhale, maybe you stay here, or maybe you walk those hands behind you. Lifting that left hip. Maybe you stay right here, or maybe you walk those hands straight further back. Maybe even bring the forehead down to the ground. On that next breath, slowly walk that back up. Bring those hands behind you. And windshield wiper those legs. Next time both knees go to the left, allow them to stay there and walk your hands up. Inhale all the way up. Bring that left hand to that left knee, right hand to that left foot. Inhale, lengthening here. Maybe you stay right here, or maybe you walk those hands behind you, lifting that right hip. If this feels good, maybe you walk those hands forward. And maybe you even bring that forehead down to the mat. On that next breath, slowly coming all the way back up. Bringing those hands behind you and windshield wipering those legs. Bringing that to stillness and straightening those legs. Grounding down through those sit bones and lengthening through the spine. Bring those arms straight out in front of you. On that exhale, slowly lower yourself all the way down. And when you get all the way down, bring those arms up and over the ears for a full body stretch. On that next breath, bring those knees in and give them a nice big hug, maybe even rocking side to side. Left foot down and bring that right knee in and give it a nice big hug. Grabbing that strap, placing the strap on the ball of that right foot, sending that heel all the way up away from the body, bringing those toes back to the heart. If you're having a hard time keeping that leg straight, straighten that leg out and just bring it down a little bit more toward the ground. Just keep pressing that heel away from the body and the toes toward the heart. On that next breath, bring both sides of that strap into that right hand. Lift that left knee up. On that next breath, allow that left leg to go to the left and the right leg to go to the right, having all 10 toes toward the heart. Shoulders and head still on the ground. that next breath, activate those inner leg muscles and use those muscles to slowly bring those legs back together. Allow that left foot to come down. Walk that foot out as wide as the mat. Keeping the foot there, bringing that knee in through center. Bring both sides of that strap into that left hand and allow that right leg to go toward the left, keeping both hips on the mat and maybe even adding a little extra and bringing those toes toward the heart. Inhale, bringing that back in through center. Walk that left foot back in through center. Bend that right knee, give it a nice big hug, and release that strap from that foot. Lowering that right foot down onto the mat. Bring that left knee in and give it a nice big hug. And bring that strap onto that left foot on the ball of that foot. And send that heel all the way away from the body and those toes toward the heart. Again, if the knee is slightly bent, feel free to straighten that leg and bring it down a little bit more toward the ground, pressing that heel away from the body and bringing those toes toward the heart. Relaxing your shoulders. Bring both sides of that strap into that left hand. Lift that right knee up over the hip. On that next breath, allow that left leg to go to the left and right leg to the right, all 10 toes towards your heart. On that next breath, activate those inner leg muscles, and using those muscles, bring those legs slowly back together. Lowering that right foot down onto the mat, walking that foot out as wide as the mat. Bringing both sides of the strap into that right hand and allowing that left leg to go to the right. To add a little extra bonus, point those toes toward the heart and press that heel away from the body, keeping both hips on the ground. On that next breath, bring that leg back in through center. Walk that right foot back in through center. Bend the left knee and give it a nice big hug and release that strap. And place it off to the side. Set that left foot down onto the mat. Bring those knees back up over those hips. Inhaling here, and on that exhale, allow both knees to go toward the right. And arms out to a T if that feels good for you. Try to keep both shoulders on the ground. Back up to the center, and exhale, send those knees to the left. Maybe you look to the left or to the right and see which way feels best for you in your body. Inhale back through center. Exhale back to the right. This time, taking that right hand, flipping it so the thumb is down toward the ground. Bringing that thumb and tracing a rainbow up and over the head. Left rotate the whole arm so that the thumb comes to the ground. Inhaling here, and on that exhale, make a big rainbow up and over the head. And bring that arm up and over and stacking it onto that right arm. Inhaling here and exhale all the way, rainbow back to the left. Continue with your breath, trying to maintain that left thumb on the ground. Hips can come up off the ground. And then take that rainbow back. Do that one more time. Bring those knees back in through center. Exhale, send those knees to the left. Pause. Making sure that right palm is up toward the ceiling. Rotate that arm so that thumb is down on the ground. Inhaling here, and on that exhale, tracing a rainbow with that thumb all the way over toward that left hand. Inhaling here, and exhale, send that rainbow back to the right. Inhaling here, and exhale, back to the left. Inhale here, and exhale, back to the right. One more time, exhaling all the way over. And exhaling all the way back. Bringing those knees back up over those hips. Lowering those feet back down onto the ground. Pause. Straightening those legs straight out. Bring those arms up and over the head. Take a nice big inhale here, and on that exhale, shifting your shoulders and arms and head toward that right side of the mat. Making sure both shoulders are on the ground. If it feels better to do the cactus arms, feel free to do that. Or you can interlace the fingers and place them underneath the head. Whatever is going to feel best on those shoulders. Bring that right foot to the right edge of the mat. Bring that left ankle up and over that right ankle. And breathe here. On that next breath, release that left foot, then bring that right foot back in through center. Lift those shoulders and those arms overhead and bring that back through center. Inhale here, and on that exhale, shift those shoulders, arms, and head to the left. Again, those arms can be up by the ears in cactus or interlaced and placed under the head. Bring that left foot onto the left side of the mat. Lift that right ankle and place it over that left ankle. And breathe here. On that next breath, release that right foot back through center. Send that left foot back into center. Lift those shoulders, arms, and head, and bring knees back through center. Bring those knees back in and give them a nice big hug, and maybe rock side to side here. and prepare yourself for Shavasana, whatever that may mean for you today. If that's with the legs bent, with the legs straight, whatever it means for you to be comfortable and lay here. Once you get settled into your Shavasana, take a nice big deep breath in, and on that exhale, slowly release. Take a few more deep breaths here. On that next one, take a nice big deep breath in, filling up that belly, and on the exhale, slowly release. And afterward, bring the breath back to normal. Become aware of your breath, aware of the body, gently moving with each inhale and exhale. Notice on the inhalation that the abdomen gently rises, then chest rises. And on the exhalation, abdomen falls and chest falls. Inhale, abdomen rises, chest rises. Exhale, abdomen falls, chest falls. And feel this wave of breath. Become aware of your breath, aware of the body, gently moving with each inhale and exhale. Notice on the inhalation that the abdomen gently rises, then chest rises. And on the exhalation, abdomen falls and chest falls. Inhale, abdomen rises, chest rises. Exhale, abdomen falls, chest falls. And feel this wave of breath, like a wave washing into the shore, then washing away from the shore. Follow this gentle wave of breath. Each breath, watching the wave rise and watching it fall. No need to make any changes to the breath. Simply watching. Watching the natural wave of breath, like watching gentle waves on the ocean. And begin to count the waves by simply following the natural pace of breath. Inhale 1, exhale 2. Inhale 3, exhale 4. And so on up to 26. If you lose track, that's okay. Simply begin again. of the breath. Doesn't matter if you reach the number or if your mind wandered. Letting go of the counts. Bring your awareness back to your heart center. Notice the heart center rising on the inhalation and falling on the exhalation. Bringing awareness back to your body. Maybe even taking a few deep breaths here. Maybe you wiggle your fingers and your toes and feel the lightness of the sensation. Stretch or move your body in any way that feels right for you today. Maybe you stay right where you are, or maybe you roll onto your favorite side, using the bottom arm as a pillow, and maybe even bringing those knees in closer to the heart. Maybe you stay right where you are, or maybe you slowly and gently come up to a comfortable seated position. If you come to the comfortable seated position, bring the hands to heart center, grounding down through the sit bones and lengthening through the spine, relaxing your shoulders. Finding an inhale here, and on that exhale, slightly leaning forward, releasing anything that no longer serves you. On the inhale, rising back up, allowing anything you may need, allowing it to come in. Bowing the chin towards your heart as a sign of gratitude. Thank you for taking time for your self-care today, for hitting play and rolling out your mat. Thank you for allowing me to guide you through this practice today. The light in me sees and honors the light in you. Namaste. I hope that you have a wonderful and beautiful rest of your day. I look forward to seeing you next time.